and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. We are here to talk about Harley Quinn Episode 8. I believe it is Episode 8. We are finally up to. I keep forgetting to write down what episode we're on because I keep forgetting. I don't really have an excuse. I can forget. But Harley Quinn is, trekking onward, just plowing on through, continuing its way towards resolving the story. Now, here's the thing. I have a feeling this episode is going to be the point where a lot of people start to get annoyed at this show. Let me explain why. At this point, we now have a season where Bruce Wayne is the bad guy. Now, you probably figured to yourself, but it's a Harley Quinn show. Logistically, shouldn't Bruce Wayne be a bad guy, like, almost always? Because he's a good guy. So why is it that now he's a bad guy, and why is it a problem? And the reason is, in this part of the show, we're dealing with a Bruce Wayne who's a bad guy in a super villainous way. He's not a bad guy in so much as he's an antagonistic force. Like, if one was to do a Rogues movie, the Flash would be a bad guy because the Rogues are bad guys and they're trying to stop him, them from doing whatever they're trying to do, whatever they're trying to steal or whatever. The issue is, he's now a bad guy for what can largely be considered, super villainous reasons. He's trying to resurrect his parents using Poison Ivy's creation, and then use that as use that to bring his parents back from the dead. And that's where we are now. And it's an interesting idea, don't get me wrong. I'm not against the idea whole cloth, and I do like the idea of making Bruce Wayne into this and kind of flipping the script entirely in a unique way, but there will be some pushback from certain aspects of the fan base, which will remain nameless. Considering they're probably the same aspects of the fan base that got pissed off about yesterday's episode, or 2 days ago's episode of She-Hulk, over the portrayal of the fan community, or the ultra right male part of the fan community. It was like, why do we have a woman here? And it's like this episode does a lot to take the piss out of Batman, and I think that it does a great job of that, through lampooning the animated series and and making fun of Robin's costume and the relationship between Batman and Robin, and at this point it's Dick Grayson, and making fun of the animated series, because that's where they go back in time to when they go into Bruce's memories. They're in the animated series. I love the idea that what's his name is hosting a call-in psychology podcast. Dr. Psycho is hosting a call-in psychology podcast, and the transition into the ad is just perfect. And I think they execute like that. When you listen to the thing, if you've listened to any number of podcasts, you'll hear the transition into what is basically a MeUndies ad, and it is just pitch perfect for what they're trying to do. Him taking the role of, them introducing him as kind of a Frasier character, and then doing someone who works on this show really loves Frasier, because there have been a lot of Frasier references over the course of the 3 seasons the show's been on the air, and it's really, it works almost every time they do it, and the end with it being Dr. Psycho singing the outro from Frasier. That it's just hilarious, and it works so well within the confines of the show. I think also that the bringing back Dr. Psycho for the small role was a good idea. I'm totally on board with that, that kind of thing. Because at the same time, we're not doing a redemption arc. We're not sitting here like, oh, and now he's a good guy. See, he's helping. It's just, we need to do this. We need his help to do this. You know, he can do this, so let's just have him do this. Which I think works better than he's a good guy again, or he's like not quite as big a dick as he was before. And I think that works pretty well within the confines of the show. What else was there? I feel like there was more that I wanted to address. See, I think that's the problem with these half-hour shows, is that I never have enough to address because it's very quick and concise. I think I covered everything. I think I got everything that was, worth mentioning with this episode, where it's like, it's just, this show continues to be like next level. It's really great, and it's interesting too. I think that, someone at Warner Brothers Discovery knows what they have with adult animation, because I don't think it's a coincidence that this show is ending soon and Rick and Morty is picking up this week. I don't think that's a coincidence. But yeah, if you haven't been watching Harley Quinn this season, you should definitely check it out. It's definitely worth the time to watch, and it's worth an effort. It's worth it is so worth your time. I think we'll just do 6 minutes. I mean, I don't really have too much more to say. I don't like going as long as the episode itself. And it's not like She-Hulk, where there was a lot to talk about. Here, this show consistently is just not very much to address. I think we're going to pick up Stargirl. Because I kind of want to do the swan song of the CW, as it is, slowly reaching its end. I feel like that's a good way to send them off into that good night. Is I'm going to do that, because I have a feeling it hasn't been official yet, but I don't think it gets picked up for season 4, regardless of quality, regardless of ratings. The show could pull numbers like nobody's business. I don't think the show's getting picked up for another season, and I don't think the show's getting saved by HBO Max. But I will, I think we should do this dutifully, watch this all the way through, and then we'll do season 9 of The Flash, which will be the end of that show. Definitively, we know that for certain, that's going to be the end of that show. There is a fucking water emergency out here. They put out an alert saying do not do not use water if it's not absolutely necessary. And the fucking Fairfields that own property out here, and they own like 20% of the land, almost 20% of apartment rentals in the county are owned by Fairfield, and they have these fucking fountains out front of every single one of their developments, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why is that? Why are we just allowing this? What the fuck? It's ridiculous. It is fucking ridiculous. Whatever. So we'll be back next week with more stuff. So until then, have a great rest of your week and enjoy your Labor Day.